basically a bat. You're basically a dolphin. You're blind. Nothing you see is real. Nothing you hear is real. The only thing that is real is what you feel. Is that plausible? Well, that's a theory. I am a truth seeker. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Disprove me, and you do have free will. So believe in you. Don't believe in me. Believe in the light. That's you. H-U-E, not Y-O-U. You man, light man, truth man. So if what I'm saying is plausible, then we might be onto something, right? Do I turn you on? Would it turn you on to know that you're God? Would it turn you on to know that you're an angel? Would it turn you on to know that you're a demon? Would it turn you on to know that you're in hell? Would it turn you on to know that you can go to heaven? Would it turn you on to know that you have 100% autonomy over you? That I'm not supposed to rule over you. Nobody's supposed to rule over you. You rule over you. I rule over me. And we need no rulers. That's something. I know ruler's an instrument of measure. So I was taken down off of TikTok for saying this. I have more than 22 followers. I've been doing this for a mighty long time. Artificial intelligence is ancient technology. Thoth had a tablet, he had an iPhone, and it was taken away from him. Oops. Computers are old technology.
Here's one word I realized a lot.
That was funny. It made it sound like he did something bad and his tablet got taken away.
A lot of people don't look. I'll remove the N so you could see all these years what was been happening. We're saying it all along. We never look in between the words. Read between the lines, okay? It is all a lie. Yo, like the more you tap in, yo, the more you realize, it's starting to make sense. Yo, it is all a lie, okay? That's the reason why they are making things up to make you believe. Read between the lines. If you flip that and upside down, it's a lie to you. They are lying to you.
We see something magic. Loads of tiny little cones facing the center. Does it remind you of something? Yes, it reminds me of this guy's wristwatch. Okay? Bingo. There you got it. Somehow these guys were using magnetics and sound and cone technology with magnets and cone there. Can't separate them. And this is the technology they used to manipulate humanity and many other things. Cone-shaped tools and ancient technology. Once I started studying this, it blew my mind. It is a completely misunderstood and ignored part of ancient civilization. Cones in all ancient cultures, in South Africa, in England, in Egypt, cones everywhere. In Australia, this Mayan deity is holding 2 cones. The importance of holding 2 cones is really critical. I'll explain to you why I believe that is so. This guy's healing, this is a Sumerian statue, healing somebody with cone-shaped tools, cone-shaped hats used in special ceremonies. Wizards wear cone-shaped hats, and their wands are cone-shaped. And then obviously the cones of these ancient beings that were doing something to us, or humans. And this is important to realize. When Caesar technology was first introduced to us, only in 2009, this is when the cone-shaped technology becomes important, when sound is propelled into a Caesar beam. So what happens when you put sound into a cone? It speeds up, speeds up, speeds up. By the time it leaves the tip, it is moving faster than the speed of light. It becomes what's known as hypersound and a Caesar. And that sound frequency enters the 0 point of the toroidal field, at which point it basically creates this infinitely fast Caesar beam. What happens to that Caesar beam? That Caesar beam is surrounded by incredibly powerful magnetic fields because of the toroidal nature of that Caesar beam. So now you got the Caesar beam that is surrounded by an incredibly powerful magnetic field. If you use this cone as a tool, you can channel your thoughts as a frequency, into your hand holding this tool, so you don't need any other source of anything. You just need yourself, your thoughts, and a cone. So you can channel your thoughts, and then the frequency of your thought gets channeled through the cone and becomes a Caesar beam. Your thought, the energy of your thought becomes a Caesar beam. So if you're thinking, I want to chop down that mountain, I want to cut that mountain, it's that thought, that energy goes into the Caesar beam. And this, I believe, how they did it, because there seems to be very little other evidence for this other than this. They thought, in fact, we have many channelings that suggest the same thing for those people that believe in channeling and shamanic information. So it was they used their thoughts through the hands into the cone, cut that mountain with my Caesar beam. Remember, you can't see a Caesar beam, so it's not very impressive. Laser beams are far more impressive, but infinitely less powerful. Caesar beam, just cut the mountain off. And this is where you need the second Caesar beam, second cone. This is why that Mayan deity holding two cones. Because once you got two Caesar beams running, you got two powerful magnetic fields, and you can trap the tip of that mountain between the two magnetic fields, and this is, I believe, how simple it should be. Because once you got this technology, you can pretty much do everything. And this is why we see giant ancient trees chopped down. How did they chop that giant tree down? Probably with a Caesar kind of technology.
Some of the strangest experiments in neuroscience have revealed that you might not be one person. There may not be one single you inside your head. Let me explain. All your life, you probably assumed that somewhere inside your head there is one central observer, a single self, a single consciousness, one you making decisions and experiencing reality. But scientists begun questioning that assumption through a series of pretty bizarre studies involving split brain patients. In other words, individuals whose corpus callosum had been the bundle of nerve fibers that connect the right and left hemisphere of the brain had been surgically severed. Now, the original goal of this was to treat severe epilepsy, but they ended up discovering that when two halves of the brain cannot communicate normally, the results are pretty eerie. The most famous experiments were conducted by Roger Sperry in the 1960s. In order to understand the results of this experiment, you have to know that the left side of your brain controls the right side of your body, and vice versa. The right side of your brain controls the left side of your body. Also, the right half of your brain is better at recognizing objects, while the left half of your brain controls speech and verbalization and the ability to recognize written language.
That's probably why I'm not so good at talking.
Maybe the most famous experiment is the snow scene and the chicken claw. To the left eye, or right hemisphere of the brain, they showed a picture of a snowy landscape. To the right eye, the left side of the brain, they showed a picture of a chicken claw. And the patients were asked to choose pictures related to the pictures that they saw. The left hand would point to a shovel for snow. The right hand would point to the chicken for the chicken claw. And keep in mind that these halves of the brain, they cannot communicate. So the left half of the brain has no idea that the right side saw a snowy landscape. The right side has no idea that the left side just saw a chicken. But the left side of the brain governs speech and reason. So when the patient was asked why they chose a shovel, the speaking left side of the brain, who had no idea about the snow scene, invented an explanation. And the explanation was because you need a shovel to clean out a chicken coop. It made something up. Had no idea that the other side of the brain had seen something else. And the strangest observation was perhaps the competing hands demonstration. Here, patients displayed what scientists call intermanual conflict, or alien hand behavior. For example, one hand would button up a shirt while the other hand unbuttoned it. One hand would reach for an object while the other would simultaneously push it away. A patient would select an item with their left hand while verbally making it clear that they didn't want this item. This implied that the two halves of your brain, when not connected, operate with independent goals. So the idea that you are a single unified self might partially be a construction. In fact, these experiments show that it's more likely that you are two cells who are constantly duking it out, essentially, in order to make these billions of processes that are constantly going on feel like one coherent experience. And of these two that we know of so far, halves of yourself, it seems that the left is the more logic-based one, while the right is the more expansive one. If we can train and learn to operate from the right, expressive, expansive half of the brain, rather than the left, logical, stable side of the brain, then we can much more easily achieve expression. And the ultimate form of expression is manifestation. Let me know what you think. If you're interested in learning more about my scientific approach to manifestation, the link is right in my bio.
Wasn't it just this the other day? What?
Yeah, they gotta be screwing with us.
What is going on here? What in the CERN particle collider is going on here?
It's not solid ground that they're playing on. It's actually 6 1,500-ton trays that fold away at the end of each game. The underground vault is called a hypogeum. It's actually a direct nod to the Roman Colosseum that this is actually modelled after. Underneath, there's 750,000 LED lights perfectly tuned to keep this grass perfect, along with an irrigation, a fertilization system, and climate control to keep it at the perfect temperature. It runs the same depth as a 10-story building, and it's millions of dollars for them to invest in.
When I watched this video, you know what it made me think of? What if these stadiums are actually spaceships? It's built like one,
Crazy.
just like
Google's apparently prepping a new AI feature for their Pixel phones that is going to track and note take all of your conversations that it can listen to. The amount of surveillance tech being normalized right now is astounding. We have the KIDS Act in Congress that wants to implement ID checks just to access the internet. We have the highly invasive Meta glasses collabing with Kylie Jenner. We have Google trying to scan your fingerprints and palms, pretending it's a reCAPTCHA. We have Google admitting earlier this year that all the AI systems they're forcing into their phones is actually a way to harvest your data to further train their AI systems. And then they added Nano Banana 2 onto their phones so that they could scan all of your photos. And now they want to harvest your audio data by recording and banking all of your conversations and the ambient noise around you whenever you go places. It is very, very clearly not something for the public, but purely for these companies. The fact that they're trying to sell so many of these as like a cognitive tool, audio memory, or Microsoft's Copilot Recall, where they're just scanning everything you do on your computer, banking it, and then pretending like, yeah, it's for you to, so that you can remember stuff. We're not going to use any of this data, we promise.
yeah, on my phone, like the blue light that pops up by the charging symbol that lets you know that it's listening. Every time I see it, I just start talking shit.
Don't need an AI note taker because you can open the phone's notes app and type it yourself or record an audio message for yourself. The phone already knows where you are in time and space. It knows who you're messaging. We have Microsoft Recall, which is probably going to get moved over to phones at some point, and now they want to listen to everything you say and all of the things around you. There's a reason I am seeing more and more people talk about their interest in